Becca, and today I want to show you how to make 10 different basic shape beads using a lentil bead. See, as you can see, I've made different shapes, and these are all made from the same lentil bead that I'll show you how to make and then how to form them. So to make a lentil bead, it's basically leftover scraps of clay that you've got. These are just some little swatches that I've got left. Just chopping them up. I know this probably looks a little bit insane, but wait a bit and it'll show you what happens. Right, and then, my map. So if we break it all like this, and then we squish it all back together. Now you're just making it into a log. Squeeze all the air out of it. Now if you want to twist it up a little bit more, you can just turn it like this. Because once you create your lentil bead, it'll get that nice swirl in it. If you can feel any air pockets, just squeeze them out. I still feel a bit in that one. Now I think for this size lentil bead that I did the samples for, I think I probably got it about that thin. It's probably about the thickness of a chunky toddler pencil, if you know what those are like. Right, and then to create them, I just got my measuring tool, chosen from Turtle Soup Beads. This is where I got this to do it from, so check out her channel. Or you can just use your grid if you've got one on your chopping board. If you can see, they've got the ridges showing you where you need to cut. So I need to create 10 more to show you the difference. Let's get that one, it's a bit small. So just using your tissue blade to chop it up. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, I'll show you how to make one, and then I'll do the rest off camera because you don't need to see it. I don't know what I've run over. So just basically turn it into a little ball like this. These might actually be a bit small. These are very tiny. I'll use 2 of these ones. Right, so there we go. We've got this ball. And then you just need an acrylic block or something that's, you could even use a coaster if you've got one of these. This is just an acrylic block that I have from my stamping. So, and then you're pressing on the glass surface that I've got underneath. It doesn't have to be glass, it could be just a picture frame or something like that. Squish that a bit too. It can take a bit of practice getting this right, but you're basically holding your acrylic block at an angle. The faster you go, and then you get it into a round. I find it helps if you tilt the block. Don't seem to want to work today. See, I've been doing clay for about 2 years now, and it still takes me a while to get going when I first start up. There we go. Start to do it. If you're not happy with the swirl that comes out, you can just squish it up and start again. Right, got a bit of a swirl going on there. Right, and then just press it down flat, and you've got your basic lentil bead. So I'll go and do the rest off camera now, and then I'll come back. I'm back. Right, I've got my lentil beads done. I've got some left over from when I did the sample ones. So basically got shape number 1, which is your basic lentil bead, and then we've got these other 9 that I'm going to show you how to do. So we'll start with this one first. It's just a square, but I managed to keep the swirl in the middle. So I think mainly what I did was to basically squeeze on each side, make sure that your swirl's in the middle like you want it to be. It will go a bit puffy, but once you've got your size of your square you want, if you just get your lentil, your acrylic block and squeeze it down, and then there you've got a square. So the next one is a rectangle or oblong, whichever you want to call it. So I think it's basically the same idea when I did that, but I squeeze obviously two sides a bit longer, just keeping it nice and even. Don't worry about it not being completely flat, just make sure that your swirl stays on top. Go. You can always refine it once you've got it a squidge. There you go, you got your rectangle. Obviously you can make these any size that you want them to be. I'm just showing you fairly small ones today. Right, let's find one of the big ones. Right, I think this one will do a heart. I think that one's my favourite. So let's get your lentil bead. Depending, just think whereabouts you want your swirl to be. I think I'll have my point at this end. So let's squeeze at the bottom. Excuse my cat just jumping on the table. I'm trying to get in on the camera. Right, so then I've got that, and then what I used was a very fancy tool. It's a Pampered Chef scraper tool for getting your things off when you've been done baking. And then I just pushed in the middle on the top, and you can use that to make your indent as small or as big as you want it to be. Now I've got my dog trying to get on my knee. I think they all know that I'm trying to record. And you can just soften up your edges and faff with it as much as you want to, really. Again, if you want to leave it puffy, leave it puffy. If not, just give it another squidge. And then you can refine it down if you've got any, like what have I got here? Oh, just like a little stick or something, and it just burnishes your edges so it makes it a little bit neater. So that's shape number 4. Right, next one is basically, it's like lentil bead, but it's squished into a disc, you know, whereas the lentil bead's sort of like tapered at the sides. I don't know if you can see the difference. That one's just as round like a coin, whereas this one's sort of dome-like, really, I'd say it was. So I'll do that one. So it's just basically getting your regular lentil bead and squeezing it round. Whoop. Doing this, and you're making your edges softer. Now this is when you decide how big you actually want your bead to be. Again, don't worry about it going a bit puffy on top, because you can give it a squidge and then get it all level that way. So I've got all my sides soft. Give it another press, and there you've got a disc bead. Can't think of anything other to call it than that. The next one is a triangle. So we'll try that one. So, yeah, now this one, it's just basically pressing again at the sides that you want it to go. I mean, you can make irregular triangles, I can't remember the names of them at the moment, but this is just your, I think it was a right-angled triangle. I'm sure my kids will correct me if I've got it wrong when I show them. And then again, squeeze it down. Yeah, I mean, you can play with this and burnish it as much as you want. You can also always get a bit of cellophane and put it in between that and use things if you don't want to get fingerprints on it and things like that. But this is probably one of my favourite tools that I've got, because it's flat and it's easily cleaned. So it's a triangle. Now the next one is just a regular ball bead. Now that one's not got a very good swirl in it, but I'll try and do this one a bit better than that one. So again, it's like the flat disc that we just did, but pushing it a little bit harder so it's getting it back into a ball. Just get a quick roll in your hands. Don't press too hard when you're doing it in your hands because you don't want to get rid of the swirl. This one can take some practice at doing. So, and there we go. And then just to burnish it off, if you just use your fingers on your work surface, that will get rid of any creases or anything without distorting the swirl too much. And there you go. It's your little ball bead. The next one is sort of a bicone shape. I think that's what it's called. That's what they call them shaped beads when the little ones I'm stringing. So, right, so again, doing the same thing as what we've just done with the ball. But when we get to the ball stage, rather than trying to make it totally round, you get the sides, start pinching round one side and then the other. Oop. Now these colours seem to be going a little bit muddy. The ones that I did yesterday for the demo weren't as dark as these, so just be careful what colours you decide to put in it, but like I said, it can be any colours that you want to put together. And then there you go, push it in, so it's like a little pinecone bead. The next one, I think you could probably call it a little horse eye shape. If you're into rhinestones and things, that's probably the shape that I'd call it. So again, it's basically doing like what we did with the square, but you're making more of a, well, probably more called like a diamond shape, I suppose. But do that, and then rather than making it rounded in the middle, you can squish these points so they're a bit softer. Push that, you can't squeeze it a bit too much. So, and then these points are a little bit more pointed, and then these ones are softer. So again, just faff with it as much as you want to do it. If you want it perfect, then play with it a little bit longer. And the last one is what I'd probably call a teardrop. So this one, it's basically half of that one really. So it's a stage less than that one, so you're making it into the ball. And take your time, just make sure that you don't lose your swirl. You don't have to be lentil beads that you actually use these on. You could always just use a bit of scrap clay covered with any cane slices that you wanted to do. I just did the lentil beads because it's the easiest option if you've not got a lot of clay and you're just wanting to have a play around with different shapes. And then if you don't go wrong, worst it is, it's bead filler. So finish that off. So I've got the ball bead, and now I'm just squeezing one side of it. I mean, this may distort your swirl a little bit because you're twisting it round. These colours have gone quite muddy now, but it'll be scrap clay when I've done anyway. So, and that's it. So again, you just make them as big and as small as you want them to be. If you've got any little creases, you can just use your fingers to burnish them out. So I'll bring the other ones back in. As you can see, the sample ones that I did beforehand are a tad brighter. So with my poor colour choices there. Slightly different sizes, but if you want them all perfect, just have a play around with them and get them to where you want them to be. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!